everybody, Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. Battle report number 81. This is game 2 of the Covington Challenge. This is the dad's turn. 'Tis I, Lord Tremendous of the Ogre Cons, versus Big Boss of the Beast Herds. This is Salazarov's dad of the Covington team that came to beat my ass in my own home, and it's just an excellent game. These guys are good, and you know what? I could talk about it for the next 20 minutes about how great of a game it was, or I could just show it to you, and you came to see, not to hear. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see how this one goes. Here's my list, and it's the exact same one from the last game. I have my Con, Blackshade. He's my general. He's got a great weapon, Iron Fist, Ogre Crossbow, Bluffer's Helm, Talisman of Shielding, and the big name Horde Master. Next up, I have my Con. He's my BSB. He's got an Ogre Crossbow, Heart Ripper, Yeti Furs, and Troll Eater. Then I have my Shaman Skaz. He's got 4 learned spells. He's got the Talisman of Greater Shielding and Pyromancy. And the great one himself, my Mammoth Hunter, Lord Tremendous. He's got his Ogre Crossbow, the Obsidian Blade, the Armor of Fortune, Headhunter, Big Name, and he's on his trusty Tusker, the War Teddy. Starting off my core choices is my unit of 7 Tribesmen, the good old boys. They got Banner Musician, Iron Fist, and Banner of Discipline. I have my second unit of 7 Tribesmen, the Conquerors. They have Banner Musician and Iron Fist. And then I have 2 units, count them 2, of 15 by Scraplings. One is called the Randos. They've got bows and musician, and the others aren't named yet. And they also have bows and musicians, because I'm liking the little guys. Starting off the special category is my Saber-Tooth Tiger, Bow Wowzer. I have a unit of 6 Scrapling Trappers, the Favored Pets. And a unit of 4 Tusker Cavalry, the Fat and the Furious. They have a banner, great weapons, and the War Standard. In the Powder Keg category, I have 3 Bombardiers with a musician. And then in the Chain Beast category, weighing in at over 1 billion pounds, my Rock-a-Rock Warhammer. And the rider on top of him, armed with a lance, is none other than Shyhammer. And together, they leave a bloody swath in the table. Sometimes it's my opponent's blood, sometimes it's their own, sometimes it's a combo. We'll have to see what happens. And then my personal favorite, my Frost Mammoth, Rufus. Couple of Ogre Crossbows are strapped to his back, but other than that, he is a face melter. And he does so by lowering your initiative by 3, because he's demoralizing. Oh, I love this guy. Anyway, that's going to do it from my list. I'm going to post my opponent's list, play some music. Feel free to pause it whenever you like to see what he took. Here are my spells, which are exactly what you're looking at. And here's deployment. So my opponent set up first, and he threw everything across the table. And as you might have guessed, he had 2 units of Minotaurs. So I knew I had a fight. So I did what I thought was clever, and I put both units of Scraplings in front of my Tribesman unit as a buffer. Basically, the Minotaurs were going to have to go through the Scraplings in order to get to anything, you know, scary. So hopefully, if I set it up right, I can get them into the scraplings and then countercharge with a bunch of stuff and kill his minotaurs. That's the hope. I also have Rufus in the middle so that if he survives long enough, he can give his lowering initiative to the minotaurs and make it so that I can destroy them before they can eat me alive. I put my Rock and the Bombardiers on the left flank to deal with anything that comes in over there. I put the Tusker Cav, Lord Tremendous, and Skaz on the right flank to deal with the stuff over there. And I have Bow Wowser in the middle to act as yet another blocker. Basically, Chaff is my friend this game. Also, I have the Trappers in the forest in the middle, so anything that decides to charge through there might take a wound or two. And when it comes to Beastmen, or Beast Herds anyway, every little wound counts. And then I remembered that they all have Forest Strider, so it doesn't matter. Damn it! Oh well, best laid plans and all. But anyway, that's it for deployment. Here's top of one after movement, and it's about what you would think. The Razor Tusk herds, I think is what they are. They come down the middle there, all three of them, and they're just kind of prone to getting away. I get what he's doing there, and it's smart. Everything else moves forward strategically. Nothing really flies forward or anything like that. He only comes up a handful of inches with everything, and that's it for movement. Nothing else happens in the bottom of one, the top of one, so we go over to the bottom of one after movement, and I hesitate. I hesitate a lot. I send the scraplings forward about 4 inches, 8 inches, something like that, just to get in the way. Like I said, their job is to redirect and chaff so that I can get counter charges off. My Bombardiers and my Rock move up just because if this Razor Tusk thing charges my Rock in the flank, I'm not concerned. Everything just kind of comes up conservatively. I need him to commit before I can commit. Otherwise, I'm going to overreach and he's going to charge me and eat my face. He's got a lot of chariots. He's got a lot of minotaurs. He's got a lot of good stuff. And if he charges me, he's going to beat me. If I charge him, hopefully I can beat him. But whoever charges is going to have a major advantage. And I want that to be me. So I move up very cautiously. And that's it for movement. Nothing happens in magic, but in shooting, Lord Tremendous fires off a shot at that chariot all by itself, the bigger chariot, Razor Tusk chariot, I think it's what it's called, not a raiding chariot, not 100% on that. But I fire, hit, and wound, and the wound actually goes through, so I felt really cool about that. Then over here, my trappers, who are just trying to get in the way, throw all their stuff at the Minotaurs and do 3 wounds, killing one. Couldn't believe it. I was so proud of them. Straight up killed a Minotaur with trappers. Hell yeah. Then on the left flank, the Bombardiers open up on the chariot on the left flank there and are able to do 1 or 2 wounds to it, which is oh, I'm sorry, that's a lie. On the Minotaurs on the left flank there and kill one themselves. So it was a hell of a shooting phase. I'm very pleased. With no combat, we go over here to top of 2 after movement, and my opponent's a little pissed off. So he comes in. His chariot and his Razor Tusk on the left flank. Golly, words are hard. Both charge a rock, and both make it. I didn't think both were going to make it. I'm not thrilled about that, so I probably just lost my rock. The other Razor Tusk on the right flank charges the Scraplings, and I wasn't expecting that either. Not thrilled about it, but we'll see what happens. The General on the chariot in the middle there charges the Trappers, and that's fine. That's what they're there for. And I don't remember where the other one goes. There's another Razor Tusk around here somewhere, and I don't remember exactly where he goes, but I think he might be in somewhere. I can't remember for the life of me. Anyway, the rest of his stuff comes up conservatively, if at all, and his 2 units of ambushing Wildhorns come behind me on the left flank. Not where I thought he was going to go, but not the biggest threat either. So that's really it for movement. There's a better picture of my Rock being hit in the flank and the front, and really, really disappointed with myself for not seeing that. Oh, yeah, his Minotaurs did charge his unit of Scraplings. They stood and shot. I think maybe they did a wound, if anything, but they obviously didn't get charged, and that was really good because it just wasn't in position. But yeah, they're doing exactly what I want them to do so far, and I'm happy about that. During the magic phase, my opponent gets Pyroclastic Flow off on Bow Wowser and murders him dead, which is heartbreaking. Then he gets Whispers of the Veil off on Rufus, which I'm actually not overly upset about because I don't plan on getting him in combat or anything like that anytime soon, so it shouldn't bother him. But the positive thing of that is that spell was cast with overwhelming power, and he ends up miscasting 8, which is fan-flippin-tastic. In the end, he ends up taking a wound for his trouble, so a more or less useless spell cast on Rufus before he's in combat. I know it's a rip, and so it's going to eat up my power dice, so it's not a waste, but he ends up doing a wound to himself, and that's pretty cool. Nothing happens in shooting, so we go straight into combat, and as you could imagine, my trappers get murdered by his general on a chariot. Totally expected. Totally okay. They did their job. Over here, the Hammer Brothers do really, really well. I almost kill the chariot that slams into me. The Razor Tusk is fine because I didn't direct any attacks at it, but charge and a flank, and I think 2 wounds, maybe 3. To 3 wounds. He wins by 1 or 2. I'm stubborn, and I make my break check. So that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Over here, too, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. My opponent kind of flubs a little bit. He only does 2 wounds. I don't do anything bad because it's just scrapplings in combat. He's got charge, flank, and 2 wounds. I think I've got a rank. He wins, but I'm steadfast, and thanks to the general being within 12 inches, I stick, which... It's cool. It wasn't expected, but I don't know if I'm happy about it or not. And I do fail the leadership to turn and face him afterwards, so what can you do? With that done, we go over here to bottom of 2 after movement, and there is some. The scraplings on the left flank there, they come forward. I shoot them forward right in front of the Minotaurs because I want the Minotaurs to charge them, and if they don't, that's fine. I've got point-blank shots at them. And I didn't want the scraplings to get charged by the Wild Horns. The Bombardier unit charges into the chariot that's in the Rock, which is great because it gets them away from the Wild Horn unit that's in their rear and saves the Rock potentially. The Conquerors back up. I don't want to be charged by the Wild Horns, but at the same time, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot I can do about it. I think I'm able to move out of their charge arc. I can't remember exactly, to be honest. You'll find out in a minute. Rufus backs up for the same reason. The good old boys stay right where they're at, because if the Minotaurs go after the scraplings or whatnot, so be it. Skaz, Lord Tremendous, and the cavalry all stay where they're at. I was thinking about moving Lord Tremendous over to go after the Wild Horns, but... he's got a lot on the right flank to deal with, and if the Wild Horns want to go into the rear of the flank of my Rock, so be it. The Bombardiers will just run away. I should be okay. That's what I did, and that's it for movement. There's a better picture of Bombardiers trying to be heroes, and I hope they are. During the magic phase, I get Enveloping Ember, and I use the Fireball on the right flank Minotaurs, I believe, and I'm able to get 4 wounds through on them, so I kill one, and no one's carrying a wound, which is really good, because those things are devastating in combat. My shooting does nothing, so we go straight into combat, and the Rock Bombardier combo works great. The Bombardiers are able to kill off the chariot with impact hits. The Rock is able to finish off the Razor Tusks thing. I don't think I take any wounds for my trouble. The Bombardiers overrun very little. The Rock, there's nothing to pursue. He didn't charge, so he can't overrun, so he turns to face the Wild Horns, and either they're going to have to charge him, or he's going to eat them alive. Either way, I'd like his odds. In combat over here, once again, the Scraplings, they take a beat. They lose 3 of their number, but they're still steadfast, and they stick. They're not able to do anything to him, but they're not dying either, so I'm relatively pleased on how this one's going. With that done, we go over here to top of 3 after movement, and the Minotaurs come crashing across. They slam into both respective units of Scraplings on the right and left flank. Left flank is good, right flank not so much. However, my opponent has forgotten about Rufus, which is good. Very good. So Rufus is going to hold back. I'm going to put him up because I have no doubt that the Minotaurs are going to kill off the Scraplings and slam into the good old boys. The difference is Rufus will move up and allow the good old boys to get every one of their attacks in, minus their impact hits, before the Minotaurs get to attack, which is good. I might even be able to get a good spell off on them or something like that. And if they don't overrun enough and slam into the good old boys, I'm going in balls out. Man, it's going to be amazing. On the left flank, same thing. The Minotaurs go into the Scraplings, who stand and accept their fate. On the right flank there, the 3x chariots charge the Tusker Cav and make it. Couldn't believe it. He needed like a 10 to do it, and he did it. Good gamble. Good gamble. It paid off for him. What can you do? I was thinking that he finally made a mistake and I was going to be able to go in there. It still might not pan out for him. The Tusker Cav are really, really strong, but he's going to do some serious damage, and I'm not happy about it. Well played by my opponent, though. What can you do? The Wild Horns on the left flank decide not to charge the Rock. He's going to hope magic and shooting takes him out before he can charge him. And that's really it for movement. There's a better picture of my Scraplings being frickin' heroes. There's a picture of my other unit of Scraplings being frickin' heroes, although they're going to die horribly for it. And there's a better picture of my opponent being a frickin' hero and making a very impressive charge on my Tusker Cav. All I can do is hope that their Strength 6 great weapons hold out, because this is going to be ugly otherwise. During a magic phase, my opponent gets Touch of the Reaper off on Rufus, doing a couple of wounds to him. That's fine. I'm not thrilled about it, but that's fine. I can deal with it, just as long as he's got enough left to lower the initiative of the Minotaurs. That's what's important. With that over, nothing else happens in magic. Going to shooting, and his general's got the Impaler, throws it at Rufus, and takes another wound off of him, which sucks. And then over here, I couldn't believe it. These rat bastards, both units have thrown weapons. They throw everything they have at the Rock, and they're able to get the wounds through. They do 3 wounds to him, if not more, and kill him. Oh, that was devastating. Very well played by my opponent, but man, I thought I was okay. I was so wrong. We go into combat, and left flank Minotaurs just rip apart the Scraplings. I don't even think they get any attacks back, and if they do, they don't do anything. So, yeah, exactly what you think happens. They overrun, they end up right there. It's not a sure thing countercharge, but it's a pretty good countercharge. The problem is, I was really thinking my Rock was still going to be alive, dealing with the Wild Horns. Now I've really got to concern myself with this. On the right flank, the exact same thing happens. The Scraplings get obliterated, which is exactly what should happen. And then just like I knew he would, because he made a hell of a charge, he's made a few of them, the Minotaur slammed the good old boys, which sucks because it wasn't perfect, but other than 4 impact hits, Rufus is going to get up close and, you know, make it so I get all my attacks back. I'm excited! You know, this might work out. Over here in combat, the chariots don't do nearly as much damage as I thought they were going to do. Impact hits were very little, they weren't able to wound very much, and I end up losing a Tusker, and I take 1 to a survivor. But in return, we kill off a chariot and do a wound to another one. So I do 5 wounds, he did 4, and he charged. I did 5 wounds, I have a banner and a war standard. I win this combat. And they break, and the Tusker Cav run them down, putting them in a beautiful position because it's my turn next. Tusker Cav have really stepped up in the last few games. I'm very impressed, and this is no exception. This might be the crowning achievement of the Tusker Cav. That was something else. As promised, here's bottom of 3 after movement, and we go all in. Lord Tremendous charges into the flank of the Minotaurs on the right. Rufus and the Conquerors slam into the Minotaurs on the left. Rufus is going to help out on the left. Lord Tremendous is going to help out on the right, and Rufus hits both units with his aura. So that's awesome. The Bombardiers turn to face the Razor Tusk thing to kill it off. I know the Wild Horn's probably going after them at some point. They're just going to flee. Dangerous terrain be damned. The Tusker Cav on the right flank charge a unit, or one of his chariots who flees and gets away, charges the other chariot, I think it's his caster. It stays, but I don't get him. I roll low and I don't make the charge. Skaz jumps up on the hill for better seeing of everything so we can start laying down some shooting, or some fireballs, and that's it for movement. There's a better picture of Rufus and the Conquerors slamming into 1 unit of Minotaurs, and I'm feeling pretty confident about that fight. And there's a better picture of Lord Tremendous slamming into the Minotaurs to hopefully save the good old boys. We'll see. And there's a better picture of the Tusker Cav chasing off a chariot and almost hitting the character chariot, which would have been awesome. Nothing happens in the magic phase, but in the shooting phase, the Bombardiers are able to finish off that Razor Tusk thing, which is really good. And then we go into combat, and it is exactly as bloody as you think it's going to be. As you can see, 2 tribesmen die, almost 3. Lord Tremendous is unscathed. 4 Minotaurs die, almost 5. I think there's 1 or 2 wounds on another one. It's a lot of combat res, but I do 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 or 14 wounds, plus charge, flank, charge down a hill, banner, to 5 wounds, charge, and a banner. I win the hell out of this combat. But he rolls snake eyes. He rolls friggin' snake eyes. I'm not making this up. There's a dice in the top left. He rolled snake eyes. I don't know if that's what he needed or not. He needed something really, really low. And I think maybe he did need snake eyes, and he rolled it, and he made it. So yeah, the Minotaurs stay, and that sucks. Over here, everything dies. Everything dies. The only thing he's got left is his Doom Bowl, or whatever they're called now. And that's fine. He doesn't do anything. He whiffs terribly with him. And yeah, I think this guy auto-breaks. And the only reason I don't pursue is because I'm worried about the Wild Horns. Rufus does not pursue. He couldn't. He was out of combat. So he just overruns. And he overruns a ton, as you can see, which I wasn't expecting. But the Conquerors turned to face the Wild Horns because I was afraid if I pursued the Doom Bowl, they would just charge me in the rear and wipe out the Conquerors. So that would have sucked. So I end up just turning in place. I reform instead of pursuing, and I don't know how I feel about that decision. So with that, here's top before after movement, and there's not a ton. The Wild Horns do charge the Bombardiers. I stay because they're long charges, and he fails them, which is good because now the Conquerors can deal with them, which is awesome. His chariots slam into Rufus. I overran way too far with Rufus. I wasn't expecting that. Probably shouldn't have done it, but I didn't realize I was going to overrun that far, and I end up right where I'm at. And yeah, the chariot slammed into his flank. There was no point in fleeing because he would have gotten caught, so maybe at least this way he can do some damage. We'll see. His fleeing chariots rallies, his fleeing character rallies, and that's really it for movement. There's a better picture of the Wild Horns failing their charges, which is awesome. Oh yeah, and the little Razor Tusk guy slams into flank of Lord Tremendous just to try to help out the surviving Minotaurs, which I get. And there's a better picture of the chariot slamming into Rufus, which is really, really bad for him. During a magic phase, he gets Spectral Blades off on the right flank unit of Minotaurs, which sucks, but I tried to stop it and I just didn't roll high enough, so that's going to be a problem. And then he gets Evocation of Souls off on Rufus, which really threw me off. I didn't fully understand what it was going to do to him, but yeah, I let it go and it hit him, and I kind of regret letting it go off. I probably should have asked to see what it does first. I thought it did something else. Completely my fault. He did cast a spell with 4 dice, and he ends up overwhelming powering it, ending up miscasting 8, which is not what I wanted him to miscast. I wanted him to miscast a lot higher than that, but, you know, what can you do? I can't make him reroll the die or anything like that. The result of the miscast, of course, is nothing. He doesn't take any wounds from it. I think he got those wounds earlier, so yeah, I was kind of hoping the miscast would be bigger than that. We go into combat, and it's the worst parts of the Bible. Rufus gets murdered by impact hits alone. Nothing I can do about it. And, yeah, it's my own stupid fault. I never should have overran with him. And then in this combat, just 2 Minotaurs are able to do 9 wounds. Those guys are blenders. But, yeah, with Rufus dead, they got their attacks, and there's nothing I can do about it. They murdered my poor unit. In return, they were killed, but that sucked. Lord Tremendous was able to do a wound to the Razor Tusk. I win this combat, and but he makes his break check. Lord Tremendous does not turn to face him because, honestly, I forget. So, yeah, that's what it looks like at the end of the combat. At least the Minotaurs are dead. So, desperately trying to, you know, reassert my grasp on this game, we go over here to bottom of 4 after movement, and the good old boys with Blackshade slam into the chariot that helped take out Rufus, which I'm not happy about. The Tusker Cav charge the other chariot with the wizard. He flees, so I redirect into the other chariot, make it, take dangerous terrain, fail enough to die, and then I fail my panic check and run away. Oh, I was sick to my stomach. So remember everything positive I said about him? Yeah, we're right back to neutral. I'm not pleased at all. Another good thing though is the Conquerors slam into the flank of the Wildhorns, which is good. If I can finish those little bastards off, I can overrun hit the other ones maybe, or they'll charge me. Either way, I should be okay. And hey, it's all points. And Skaz comes down off the hill to get a better look at some stuff for magic purposes, and a Bombardier's turn to try to either take out his wizard or the Doombull Chieftain, whichever I feel like shooting at first. And that's it for movement. There's a better picture of the Conquerors slamming into Wildhorns, and that's good. Ugh, and there's a better picture of the good old boys in Blackshade slamming into a chariot, and the Tusker Cav almost making it into the other chariot, but running into a tree, panicking, and running away. Ugh. During the magic phase, something gets under the butt of Skaz because he gets enveloping embers and fireball off on the other unit of Wildhorns and kills half the unit. Over half the unit dies to his wrath, which is excellent. Just couldn't believe he did it so well. That unit, of course, panics and flees right over the bodies of their fallen, which is also excellent. With all spells I get off that do incredible damage, I miscast, and this is a miscast 12. So, yeah, while Skaz did obliterate half the unit and cause it to run away, which is excellent, he's going to pay for it in blood and flesh. Due to amnesia, I end up losing enveloping embers for the rest of the game, which sucks, but that's the only thing that happens. I don't take any wounds, so it's a trade-off, and I'll take it. At least Skaz is going to survive. Still having some power dice left, I'm able to get Scorching Salvo off, and I do a little bit of damage across the table. I think the Doombull took a wound, I think his Wizard took a wound, and I think that's it. I don't think anyone else took any damage. It was a little bit. I'll take what I can get. We go into combat, and Lord Tremendous is able to finish off the Razor Tusk that was in his flank, and he turns to look at the rest of the fight because he's not done yet. We go over here into this fight, and it's pretty one-sided. I am able to do 2 wounds to the chariot. They do nothing in return. Charge, flank, banner, and 2 wounds to nothing. I win by 5. He breaks. I pursue, but he gets away. They're tired. You know, hamstrings are sore, knees are weak, and he ends up going that far. Just kind of getting in the way of everything, which is good. My Bombardiers probably won't get charged next turn. Yay! We go into combat over here, and it's pretty one-sided. As you can see, 6 of the Wildhorns get killed, and I think I take a couple of wounds. Charge, flank, banner, rank, and 6 wounds to 2 wounds and a banner. I win by plethora. And again, I don't pursue. It took me a minute to decide whether or not I wanted to. I turned to face the Doombull because I didn't want to be charged by it, and I didn't want it to get away. I was worried about that. I wasn't sure if the Wildhorns would rally. It was a mistake. I should have pursued and went after the other ones. I was worried about taking my BSB out of the fight. It was a lot of worry, a lot of stupidity, and I should have gone after the Wildhorns. It was a bad call. And then with that, we go over here to top of 5 after movement. Well, the remaining chariot that fled, that rallied or whatever, it slams into the flank of the good old boys because they overran way too little. The other chariot, I guess it didn't flee or something, or maybe we forgot it fled. I can't remember. But it slams into the Bombardiers, which sucks. The other one rallies. The Doombull runs away because it doesn't want to die. And I believe 1 unit of Wildhorns rally, and the others don't. And that's really it for movement. There's a better picture of the Wizard chariot slamming into the Bombardiers and the bigger chariot slamming into the flank of the good old boys. So, yep, things are quickly running out of my control. And there's a better picture of 1 unit of Wildhorns fleeing and the other one rallying. During a magic phase, he gets Whispers that veil off on the Bombardiers, and that's fine. They're dead anyway. Then he gets Spectral Blades off on the chariot that's into the flank of the good old boys. Nothing happens in shooting or magic other than what's already happened, so we go into combat, and it's ugly. Really, really ugly. The good old boys, the remaining 2 tribesmen, get murdered. Blackshade does nothing. He's got 6 wounds, charge and a flank to nothing. Blackshade flees. He bounces through the Conquerors and gets away. The chariot pursues anyway and ends up hitting the Conquerors, which is either really, really good or really, really bad, depending. Then over here, the wizard in the chariots kills 2 of the bombardiers. I do nothing in return. I break, I flee, I get away. So, hanging on by a thread. We go over here to bottom of 5 after movement, and I'm kind of out of options. Lord Tremendous slams into the chariot to help out. Blackshade rallies and turns to face the Wild Horns. The Bombardier does not rally and continues to flee very slowly. Skaz more or less stays where he's at, and the Tusker Calf flee off the table because I couldn't rally anything to save my life, other than Blackshade, which I guess is good. But yeah, that's it for movement. During the magic phase, I get Flaming Swords off on Lord Tremendous, because why not? And then we go into combat. Believe it or not, impact hits kill a tribesman, and my impact hits kill the chariot. So I guess it was a fair trade. And then we turn like this to face the oncoming chariots next turn, because I have a feeling they're coming. With everything winding down, here's top of 6 after movement, and everything that could go wrong for me does. Both the remaining chariots and the Doom Bull make it into the Conquerors. The rallied unit of Wild Horns make it into the Conquerors. The chariot wizard charges the Bombardier. He flees, he bounces through the dangerous terrain and gets away. The other unit of Wild Horns rally, and the Dice Gods hate me. That's it for movement. Yep, there's a better picture of the Conquerors just getting overwhelmed, basically. And there's a better picture of the wizard chariot chasing the bombardier off the table, more or less. In the magic phase, I don't remember what spell it is, but the wizard gets one off and does 2 wounds to the bombardier, killing him completely, which is fine. He earned it. And then we go into combat, and it's pretty awful. 3 tribesmen die. I end up in a challenge with his Doom Bull with my BSB, and I'm not able to do anything to him. He's able to put 2 wounds through on me. I do nothing to his chariot or the Wild Horns in return. I was rolling like raw ass, and my opponent was rolling well. And, yeah, pretty sure I auto-break here. We fled from the Wild Horns because they had a rank, they catch me, and Lord Tremendous ends up getting hit in the side. Blackshade breaks and flees because he's a coward, and I'm done with him, and I think Skaz follows suit. We go over here to bottom of 6, and yeah. The only positive thing is Blackshade and Skaz both rally, and that's it. There is no movement. In the magic phase, I get Scorching Salvo off, and the only unit affected takes 1 wound because, it was a crapshoot. I think it was a D3 one. Of course, it was cast with overwhelming power, and I ended up miscasting 6, which is actually fine because absolutely nothing happens. I take no damage. The miscast is mostly just there for show, and at least I got to play the miscast sound. I do like that. We go into combat, and I think Lord Tremendous ends up in a challenge with the Doom Bull, which is great because it negates the flank, or it negates the impact hits from the chariot, but it still does 3 wounds to him. I'm able to do 2 in return, but that's it. So charge, flank, and 3 wounds to 2 wounds. They win. I break, they pursue, and they run me down, solidifying his victory over my stupidity. Very well played by my opponent. And there it is. There's the end of the game. Blackshade and Skaz are standing there begging for mercy because Blackshade is absolute garbage as a con. Just garbage. And Skaz actually did really well this game. He killed a lot of models. Just wasn't enough. Could not capitalize. And it's my own stupid fault. I should have pursued where I didn't. And I regret it. I regret it a lot. Really, really bad calls on my part. But my opponent played well. He played the entire time, and he earned this victory. And what else can he ask for? This was a good game, though, nonetheless, especially from my opponent's side of the table. And we're going to get to the recap in just a minute, because first I have an ad for TMS, which is excellent. But we'll get that out now, because this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alrighty, boys and girls. This is a Kickstarter going on by TMS, Tabletop Miniature Solutions. It's a Vampire Covenant Kickstarter. These models are amazing. The Kickstarter is already almost completely funded, and I believe the last day is June 9th, so you still have plenty of time. Check out these models. Check out their Kickstarter. The link is in my description, so you can check it out. It's awesome. Spartan-themed Skeleton Warriors, guys. What more do you need? Spartan-themed Barrow Guard. Come on. check out the models, check out the site, get yourself into this Kickstarter. It is completely worth it, and if you were ever thinking about an undead army, now is the time to pull the trigger. Get on it. You can thank me later. So, yeah, as I'm sure you put together by now, this was a defeat for Lord Tremendous. I got 3,532 out of him, he got 4,349 out of me, for a difference of 817. I lost everything except Blackshade and Skaz, and Blackshade might as well not have shown up, that piece of shit. I felt really good about using my scraplings as bait, chaff, whatever you want to call it, and they did their job really, really well, and I was able to neutralize the Minotaurs for the most part. That was as far as my cunning plan went. Unfortunately, I had no follow-through, and my opponent was able to recover, which is something that my stupid decision-making allowed, and I blame myself. Skaz did amazing. He actually got a lot of good spells off, did a lot of damage, and actually survived 2 or 3 miscasts. So that was really good for him. Skaz, once more, stepping up to the plate, as suicidal as he is. And those ambushing Wildhorns had me all screwed up. I should have ignored them. I shouldn't have given as much attention as I did. And when I do pay attention to them, I should have followed through. Made a lot of real basic mistakes in this one. And my opponent was able to recover because of it and pull the win out. And he deserved it. He earned this one. Even with my terrible decision-making abilities, this was an incredibly close game. The entire time it was a nail-biter until I'd say round 6. Solid fight from the beginning to the end. I have no complaints. It's not like he was running away from me or refused to engage. He engaged and he handed me my Kool-Aid, and that's too bad because I like my Kool-Aid. He was determined from the very beginning until the very end, and it showed and it paid off for him. And I always love the games where there's almost nothing left on the table. So this was a solid game. This was a absolutely fantastic game. Really, really pleased that the Covingtons came out to my neck of the woods just to kick my butt. Thank you guys very much. You're always invited to come back. Really enjoyed the games, and it was I'm honored that they made a point to actually come and play me. They were out here for work, and they were like, hey, while we're out here, we feel like kicking the crap out of a baby seal, and we're wondering if you were available. And luckily for me, I was. But seriously, guys, thank you for coming out. That was awesome. I would happily welcome a rematch whenever you guys are available, and thank you once again for coming out and hanging out with me and kicking my teeth down my throat in my own backyard. That was outstanding. Real quick, I want to say thank you to everyone that supports me financially through PayPal, Patreon, and other means. I have many anonymous donors that don't want me to say anything, but these are the individuals that allow me to thank them properly, and I plan to do so. Alex of the Vale Renegades, South Florida's Gamermancy team, Daniel Jolson, and Caillou Choi. Thank you guys very, very much. I appreciate the donations, and I appreciate all the donations, even if I don't get to thank you on my channel like I'd like to. But again, thank you guys. I hope I continue to be worthy. But that's going to do it for this one, guys and gals. Battle Report number 81 is officially in the history books, and the Covington Challenge has been recorded properly. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.